Good morning everyone. My name is Nitish Kumar Tyagarajan Rajkumar. My EDX username is TR Nitish Kumar and my GitHub username is also TR Nitish Kumar. Today is 17th July 2026 and in this presentation I will be discussing the incident Google Chrome 0-day exploited in Operation Forumtroll which occurred in March 2025. The vulnerability involved is CVE 2025-2783. I chose this topic because Google Chrome is one of the most widely used web browsers in the world, and a vulnerability affecting it has the potential to impact millions of users. This incident also relates closely to the securing software lecture from CS50, especially the concepts of identifying vulnerabilities, arbitrary code execution, phishing, and open source software. So, let's begin with an overview of the incident. Operation Forumtroll was a targeted cyber espionage campaign that was publicly disclosed in March 2025. The attackers exploited a previously unknown Google Chrome vulnerability identified as CVE 2025-2783, which affected Chrome on Windows and other Chromium based browsers. The vulnerability was discovered by Kaspersky's Global Research and Analysis Team, also known as GREAT. Unlike attacks that aim to make money, this campaign mainly focused on espionage by targeting journalists, educational institutions, and government organizations in order to steal sensitive information. Before understanding the attack, it is important to understand what Google Chrome and a zero-day vulnerability are. Google Chrome is one of the most widely used web browsers in the world and is built on the open source Chromium project. Since Chromium is open source, developers and security researchers can inspect the code, identify bugs, and contribute improvements. However, like any software, it can still contain vulnerabilities. Chrome also includes security features such as sandboxing, which isolates web content from the rest of the operating system. This makes it much harder for malicious code to affect the user's computer. A zero-day vulnerability is a security flaw that is unknown to the software developer when attackers first begin exploiting it. Since there is no security patch available at that moment, attackers have an advantage making zero-day vulnerabilities among the most dangerous types of software vulnerabilities. Now let's see how the attack actually worked. The campaign started with phishing emails that were sent to selected victims. These emails invited them to the Primakov Readings International Forum and contained links that appeared to lead to the event registration page. When victims clicked the malicious link using Google Chrome on a Windows computer, they were automatically redirected to an attacker controlled website. The exploit then took advantage of the zero-day vulnerability in Chrome without requiring any additional user interaction. The attackers used this vulnerability as part of a cyber espionage campaign to secretly monitor infected systems and steal sensitive information. Another interesting point is that each malicious link was personalized for a specific victim and remained active only for a short period, making the campaign much harder to detect. This vulnerability was unique because it allowed attackers to bypass Chrome's sandbox protection. Normally, Chrome's sandbox acts as an additional security layer that isolates web pages and prevents malicious code from affecting the rest of the operating system. However, in this case, the attackers are able to escape the sandbox because of a logical error that occurred at the interaction between Google Chrome and the Windows operating system. By bypassing this security layer, the exploit could work together with another exploit that enabled remote code execution, allowing attackers to perform actions that were never intended by Chrome's normal design. This made the attack significantly more dangerous. Kaspersky's exploit detection technologies detected suspicious behavior during their investigation of the campaign. After identifying the exploit, the researchers carefully analyzed it using reverse engineering, which involves studying compiled software to understand how it works internally. Through this analysis, they confirmed that the exploit was targeting a previously unknown vulnerability in the latest version of Google Chrome. However, they decided not to investigate the second exploit further because doing so would have required exposing users to the risk of infection. Instead, they responsibly reported the vulnerability to Google so that it could be fixed. So, what was Google's response and patch? After receiving the report from Kaspersky, Google investigated the issue and assigned it the identifier CVE 2025-2783. Google quickly released a security update for Chrome on March 25, 2025, and advised all users to update their browsers immediately. The patch was distributed automatically through Chrome's update mechanism, and the stable version was updated to 134.0.6998.177 and 134.0.6998.178 for Windows. Since the attack depended on escaping Chrome's sandbox, fixing this vulnerability effectively blocked the entire attack chain. This highlights how important timely software updates are in protecting users against zero-day attacks. Relation to CS50 Introduction Cybersecurity. This incident relates to several concepts that were covered in the Securing Software lecture of CS50. First, the campaign began with phishing, where attackers used convincing emails to trick victims into clicking malicious links. Second, it demonstrates the importance of identifying vulnerabilities, as Kaspersky discovered and responsibly reported the zero-day vulnerability to Google. Third, it relates to arbitrary code execution because the exploit allowed attackers to perform actions that were outside Chrome's intended behavior. Finally, since Chrome is built on the open source Chromium project, this incident also shows that even well maintained open source software can contain vulnerabilities and therefore requires continuous security updates and security research. So, what are the lessons learned and what are the recommendations? From this incident, we can learn several important lessons. First, users should always keep Google Chrome updated because security updates often contain important fixes for newly discovered vulnerabilities. Enabling automatic updates ensures that these patches are installed as soon as they become available. We should also be cautious when opening links from unknown or suspicious emails since phishing was the starting point of this attack. Finally, organizations should use reliable security solutions with exploit detection capabilities to improve protection against similar attacks in the future. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope this presentation helped explain how a zero-day vulnerability can be exploited in a real-world cyber espionage campaign and why timely software updates and responsible vulnerability disclosure are essential for securing modern software. Thank you.